All right, today we're diving into an absolutely incredible story of political theater, high-stakes family drama, and a seriously brilliant deception that was designed to heal a fractured kingdom. So, this is the central problem, the one that sets up everything. How do you get a king to change his mind when he's completely stuck between what his heart wants and what the law demands? King David has banished his own son Absalom, and the entire nation is just frozen. They're caught in the crossfire of his personal grief and his public duty. It seems impossible, right? Okay, so to really get what's about to happen, we have to understand the king's state of mind. And honestly, David is paralyzed. His son Absalom is out in exile, and the king is just drowning in this deep, unresolved sorrow. And this, right here, is the absolute core of the conflict. You've got David the father, who desperately wants his son back. But then you have David the king, who's bound by his own decree. He can't just undo his judgment without looking weak. So the whole kingdom is just holding its breath, waiting for someone, anyone, to make the first move. And that's when Joab, the king's general, steps onto the scene. Now, Joab is a total pragmatist. He sees the damage the stalemate is doing to everybody, and he knows a direct request to the king is just doomed to fail. So he comes up with this indirect, almost theatrical plan to force the king's hand. I mean, the sheer cleverness of this is what makes it so brilliant. This isn't a frontal assault, it's pure psychological theater. Joab is basically directing a play, and the king is his unsuspecting audience of one. Every single step is meticulously designed to get past his royal defenses and strike him right in the heart, as a judge, and more importantly, as a father. And so, the performance begins. The woman, playing her part perfectly, presents a story that's tragically familiar. A widow, two sons, a fight that turns fatal. This whole thing is calculated to immediately grab the king's sympathy and position him as her only hope. And right here, she raises the stakes. This isn't just about punishment for one son anymore. Now it's about the potential extinction of her entire family line. She claims the clan's demand for justice is really just a veiled attempt to destroy her last remaining heir. And this is the emotional climax of her plea. What a powerful image, right? Her last son isn't just a person. He's the final spark, the last little ember of her family's future. With this one line, she's not just asking for a legal ruling. She is begging the king to save her from utter desolation. And snap, the trap closes. David, the compassionate judge, takes the bait completely. He makes an absolute, unbreakable vow based on this totally fabricated story. He has no idea that he just passed judgment on his own situation. This is the moment of the great pivot. It is just masterful. With the king's ruling secured, she turns the mirror on him, using his own verdict to expose his own hypocrisy. And there it is, checkmate. She asks him, if a widow's last son deserves this much protection, how can the king of Israel leave his own son, a prince of the people, in exile? By showing mercy to her fictional son, he has basically convicted himself for his lack of mercy toward his real one. It's airtight. Joab's gambit works. The king realizes he's been outmaneuvered, and he gives the order for Absalom to return. But, well, this solution creates a whole new, and, you could argue, much more dangerous problem. See, this isn't a true reconciliation, not even close. Absalom is back in the capital, yeah, but he's effectively under house arrest. He's been brought home only to be shunned. This halfway measure is arguably more dangerous than the original exile. It satisfies the letter of the law, but does nothing to heal the relationship, and it creates this deeply unstable situation with a resentful prince just festering in the heart of the kingdom. And while he's isolated, Absalom isn't just fading away. Oh no, quite the opposite. He's described as physically perfect, a charismatic and incredibly popular figure whose legend only grows in his absence from the court. His forced isolation isn't diminishing his influence, it's concentrating it, turning him into a living symbol. And get this detail, it's incredible. Once a year, he would cut his hair, and it weighed about 200 shekels. That's nearly 5 pounds. Now, in that era, long, thick hair was a major sign of masculine vigor and power. So this isn't just some random fact, it's a potent symbol of his vitality, his royal bearing, and his undeniable growing weight in the kingdom. Something has to give. This strange, suspended state, being home, but not forgiven, is a pressure cooker. Absalom's frustration just builds and builds until he decides he has to force a resolution, and he uses a truly drastic measure to do it. 2 full years. I mean, can you imagine? You're a prince, the heir apparent, living in the capital city, but you're forbidden from seeing your own father, the king, for 2 years. After all that unbearable silence, Absalom tries to reach out to Joab, the man who brought him back in the first place, but even Joab ignores him.
So, when you can't get a meeting, you create a crisis. This is a shocking act of defiance. By burning Joab's field, Absalom is sending a loud and clear message. I will not be ignored. It's a destructive, desperate gambit to force the confrontation he's been denied.
When a furious Joab finally shows up, Absalom lays out his ultimatum. He basically says this half-life is worse than exile. He demands to see the king and face the consequences, even if it means death. He'd rather be executed than live as a ghost in his own home. And believe it or not, Absalom's shocking act works. Joab realized the message, and the king finally summons his son. This sets the stage for the final, tense confrontation that has been years in the making. After years of silence, of exile, and of simmering frustration, the entire conflict resolves into this one simple action. Absalom bows before his father, and the king kisses him. On the surface, it looks like a moment of forgiveness, of reconciliation. The standoff is finally over. But what does that kiss truly mean? Is it the warm embrace of a forgiving father finally reunited with the son he longed for? Or is it a cold political gesture from a king who's been cornered by a prince who proved he was too powerful and, frankly, too dangerous to ignore any longer? That's the big question the story leaves us with.